So this is 11.1 statistical questions and variables, and you're supposed to justify and explain all your answers. Which of the following is an example of a quantitative variable? Quantitative is a measurement. No, that's what it is. It's a measurement. Like height. We're not using descriptive things like tall or short, like 6 foot 2 inches, or temperature, like 73 degrees. But quantitative is about a quantity, and the key word there is quantity. Anyways, cats that weigh less than 10 pounds. Is this a select all? Actually, no, sorry, the first one's not that one. That would be a quality. The mean, which is the average, that would be a quantitative variable. Number of ounces of dry cat food recommended, that's not really a variable. Number of hours a veterinarian works in 1 week. Boy, there's lots of good choices on this one. How weird is that one? But the key issue here we have is variable. I could make a justification for all of them, but I think the best one is this one, which is the average weight of cats seen by a veterinarian 1 week. Veterinarian polled her clients who own dogs as to whether or not they use dry food only for their dogs. Which of the following describes the population of this survey? So the thing is she's only talking to dog owners that visit her client. Sorry, that visit her office. So the population of her survey is just going to be her dog owning clients. For the survey question below, is the variable quantitative or categorical? What is your eye color? And again, quantitative means quantity. All right? A categorical is a quality. I'm not surprised you're using categorical. Usually we use the word qualitative. But this is a categorical variable. Also known as a qualitative variable. Anyway, there's the first three. I don't really like the first question. Number 4, which of the following are parameters? Select all that applies. So this is a select all. Parameters are a descriptive statistic for an entire population, not just a piece of the population. So 75% of the students at North High School voted for Lucy. I would call that a parameter. It's talking about all the students there. Total collected at fundraiser was 5281. That's nothing. The mean heights of students at one table in the cafeteria is 1.3 meters. Yes, because it's only talking about the students at that particular cafeteria. 10 out of 25 people surveyed chose red. Yeah, I wouldn't agree with that one. That would be something of a sample. In fact, yeah, A for sure, C is a maybe. We're going to go with it. It's a bad question. From a population of 1,600 cars, a sample of 25 is chosen. The dealer calculates the mean weight of those 25 cars. Tell whether this is an example of a statistic or parameter. Now here's the thing. They only sampled 25 of 1,600. That's it. And the key issue here is they calculated the mean of the sample, not the population. So this is by definition a statistic. And the reason that I think this one is probably a population is because they're only talking about the people at that table. That's it. They're not trying to relate it to the population. I could also make an argument that this one is also a parameter. I just don't like that one. But anyways. See, Deani says she identified a quantitative variable and conducted a survey when she asked her fellow classmates in her homeroom about their favorite style of sweatshirts from the categories. So, since I saw the keyword category, this has got to be her data is categorical. Plain and simple, also known as qualitative. We are supposed to explain their error, and that is the error. She's not asking about numbers, she's asking about colors. Colors are a quality. Number 7, explain the difference between a categorical variable and a quantitative variable, and then make sure you answered number 6 correctly. So again, quantitative represents a quantity, and categorical represents a quality, plain and simple. 40 randomly selected members of a high school music program were asked to report the number of hours they spend practicing each week. If you were to compute the mean number of hours, would your answer be a parameter or a statistic? This would be a statistic. It says 40 randomly selected members. Does not say the entire high school musical program. So that's a statistic. It's only representing a sample. And moving forward, number 9, does the scatter plot below relate to a statistical question? Most likely. And the reason I say this is because if it was a function, we would see either a nice straight line or a parabola or maybe something with some curvature. You know, if it was a function, we'd see straight line. The dots would be in a straight line. Or we would see a parabola. That's a very bad looking parabola. But we would see things like that. And I believe it does represent a statistical question because we also have multiple people with the same answers. And that's another thing to look at too. Multiple people with the same answers or same choices, same results, which by definition makes it not a function. Every x can only have one y. Number 10, error analysis. Describe and correct the error a student made in responding to the question regarding the following scenario. See, a Detroit, Michigan radio station polled its listeners about whether they supported the citywide tax increase to renovate the city's professional football stadium to determine whether city residents support the increase. What are the sample and the population in the scenario? The sample is the listeners in the radio station. That is correct. And specifically, it's the people who replied. All right. The population is all of the registered voters in the state of Michigan. Okay, so a couple ways of looking at this one. The sample will be the people who, and here's the thing, they voluntarily reply to the survey. This sample is supposed to represent the citizens of Detroit, Michigan. And the citizens of Detroit, Michigan would be the population. All right, 11, a biology teacher wants to know which dissection his students like best this semester, so he randomly selects 8 students from each of his 5 classes to participate in the survey. The sample here is going to be the 8 students in each class. That's obvious. The population would be all students in biology class. And I'm going to go back a little bit here. I just do not like this. I do not like that one right there. I'm getting rid of it. I'm sticking with A. I could be wrong on that. Don't like it. It's a bad question. Data below were collected from all race participants to answer the question, what is the average age of runners in the Fall Harvest 5K? Does this, and that's a histogram, by the way, there's a key word. Does this histogram represent data related to a parameter statistic? It says collected from all. Because it says collected from all, it is a parameter. Alright, if the Hamilton High School freshman class is the sample in a statistical study, then which is not a possible population for the study? So because it's only freshmen, it can only represent well, it should only represent freshmen in a high school. That's what it should only represent. But this is a possibility. Maybe it's a bad one. It's possible, but a bad choice for all. This one is also possible. Again, it's a bad choice. The students in Miss Anderson's science class and all freshman students in the state oh, these are all horrible. These are all horrible. Talks about freshmen. Why not? I have no idea who Miss Anderson is, and I have no idea what she teaches. That's the question, like, does she even teach freshmen? So, I'm going with C, and there's my logic behind it. That is a very bad question. Nothing on your EOC would be that difficult. Too much inferment there. What do we have here? The following question has 2 parts. First, answer part A, then answer part B. Corrine has $500 to invest. She wants to see how much money she would have at the end of 4 years if she invested her money into an account with 6% interest rate. Round to the nearest cent. Enter the amount of money each option would have at the end of 4 years. Plan A is compounded annually. You get to use the nice formula A sub t equals p times 1 plus r to the t. And you just plug your stuff in. What is it, 4 years? So A sub 4 is going to be 500 times 1 plus 0.06 raised to the 4th power. I'm going to go push some buttons here. That's all there is to it. You're welcome to play along in your own calculator. Perhaps you should. And I got 631.24. Compounded quarterly, so we have a different formula. It still plugs stuff into a formula. Still 500, still 0.06, but we're compounding quarterly, so n is 4, and the exponent is nt, so 4 times 4. That's really all this is. This is, do you know the compound interest formula? I fully expect the compound interest formula to be on your EOC. Like it's a major work of the subject. It's not on your benchmark. Your benchmark is just weird looking. But anyways, 634.49. Compounded monthly, the only thing that changes on that is that this time n is 12. That's the only thing that changes. Really easy question as long as you can read a formula. $635.24. Then we have compounded continuously. That's a different formula. That's A sub t equals PERT. So the principal is still 500. We have the letter E. The rate's 0.06 and the time is 4 years, and I just push buttons. But a lot of us won't do it. Your class has really beat me down this year. I'm kind of accustomed to having high expectations and them not being met, but I never had a group of kids who literally don't want to do. It's just so many. I've got good kids too. I'm not complaining about the good ones, but I've never had such a large group of not wanting to really do anything. And the funny thing is, there's a large number of your group that don't do anything. Think I'm the problem. That's the funny thing. I don't know. Select the number of years that correctly completes the sentence. It will take how many years for Corrine to double her investment? I don't know what happened to the rest of the words, but there's the key word, double. Did I miss part of this question? If her. Looks like I didn't copy and paste it correctly. Okay, let's see where I got this thing from. Pretty sure I got that off the state of Missouri. But Milbrath, we're in Tennessee. It's a really good test. Investment is compounded continuously. That's what we need. So if it's going to double, it's going to turn into 1,000. It says compounded continuously. That's this guy right here. 500 e to the 0.06, and what we don't know is we don't know the time. We're going to do this one by hand. I'm going to divide out the 500. And again, what I just did here was I divided both sides by 500. Now I'm going to convert to a logarithm. It's going to become a log base e. Its argument is 2, and it's equal to 0.06t. And right there I did log as bay. I converted to logarithm. And that becomes ln, because log base e is the ln. I'm going to divide by 0.06, and that's my time. So I divided by 0.06. That's all I did. I think next year I'm going to do a lot of that, make kids write out their justification. Yours was the first group of kids I've ever had who just really couldn't do basic algebra. I don't know if that's a foreshadowing of things to come or not. But anyways, it takes about 11.55 years. And that's what it takes. So t equals 11.55, and the closest thing up there is going to be 12. Alright, moving forward. Sound intensity I is measured in watts per meter squared, and the loudness of the sound, L as a function of I, or loudness as a function of intensity, is measured in decibels. Is described by the function loudness as a function of intensity is 10 logs of intensity over I0, where I0 is something ridiculously small. Look at that, that's 10 to the negative 12. That's tiny. Rounded to the nearest tenth of a decimal, what is the loudness in decibel of a musical group that plays with sound intensity of L equals 6.7 times 10 to the negative third? This is simple plug-in stuff. We have a little formula right here. We're going to plug in. Let me grab my pen. So I have a 10 log. They're telling me the intensity is this. And I'm sitting over this. And at this point in life, I'm just going to push buttons. That's all I'm going to do is push buttons. It's not even hard, man. The issue is kids have no idea how to push buttons. There isn't a single kid that I'm teaching this year that could not grow. Well, I take that back. Like a Brittany Bell, she has to know more than how to push buttons. Anybody who's foreseen to be level 3 has to do more than push buttons. But the vast majority of you juniors are supposed to be level 1 children. So if you learn how to push buttons, you'll probably become a level 2. Like, everybody should be able to grow this year. So 98.26 is what I got. I go over how to use a calculator constantly. Choice D. Given that x is greater than 0, which expression is equivalent to the following? And I'll do this 2 different ways. To start off, I'll do it by hand. Then I will show how to cheat. I wish that some of y'all who need to learn how to use a calculator would watch some of this stuff, but whatever. Alright, which expression is equivalent to that? It's actually not a hard problem. A little weird looking. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite this. It's actually a factoring problem. This is 5 root x root y plus 25 root x. Is there something there? Is that x raised to anything? No. I notice that both terms contain a 5, and I notice that both terms contain a root x. So it becomes 5 root x. If I pull a 5 root x from this, I'm left with root y. If I pull a 5 from 25, I have a 5, and I pulled the root x. So this is my answer. 5 root x root y plus 5. Oh yeah, you're expected to know that root x is x to the 1/2 power. You're expected to know things like that. So that makes it choice D. Alright, here's how we cheat. We cheat by using the storage feature. So I'm going to make up a number like 10 and I'm going to store it to x. And then I'm going to take a 6 or 7, I'm going to take something like an 8 and I'm going to store it to y, which is alpha, well, where's she at? 1. Now I'm going to type in the original function, which was 5 square root x alpha y, whoops, 5 square root. I think I have never used a calculator. 5 square root x alpha y plus 25 square root x, and it's going to give me a numerical number. And now I'm going to type in my answer choice. So my answer choice was 5x to the 1/2 parentheses y to the 1/2. Oops, I did something else there, didn't I? Alpha y to the 1/2 plus 5. Perfect numerical equivalency. Beautiful, isn't it? An expression is shown. Create an equivalent expression. And this one is not multiple choice. You know, Missouri has things that aren't multiple choice on there, you'll see. So I'm supposed to know that the 1/3 power is the cubic root of something. So let's go ahead and distribute that 1/3. This becomes 64 to the 1/3, y to the 9 times 1/3, sitting over x to the -3 times 1/3, and only positive integer exponents. So 64 to the 3rd, you think about the cubic root of 64, it's 4. This becomes y cubed, and 1/3 of -3 is x to the -1st, and I only want positive. So 4xy cubed, because I move that guy up and the exponent changes to positive, and ta-da, I'm done. There you go. And now I'm done with that video.